Yo, what's good, y'all? It's the Carolina Kid here to do again what y'all hate doing. I know, I'm talking about reading. Yeah, thank y'all for tapping into Reading with Enthusiasm. And the segment I'm on today, y'all, and the 7 habits of highly effective families, because we still in this, we still into it. It's called Being Loyal to Those Not Present. And like I said to y'all before, this the type of dope you want to get addicted to. Yeah, if you're going to get hooked on something, get hooked on this. Yeah, they're reading. Yeah, let me go and get started. What happens when family members are not loyal to one another? When they criticize and gossip about the others behind their backs? What does it do to the relationship, to the culture when family members make disloyal comments to other family members or to their friends? My husband is such a tightwad. He worries about every penny we spend. My wife jabbers constantly. You think she could shut up and let me get a word in once in a while? Did you hear what my son did the other day? He talked back to a teacher. They called me from the school. It was so embarrassing. I don't know what to do with that kid. He's always causing trouble. I can't believe my mother-in-law. She tries to control everything we do. I don't know why my wife can't just cut the apron strings and get it over with. Comments like these are huge withdrawals not only from the person spoken about, but also from the person spoken to. For example, if you were to discover that someone had made one of these comments about you, how would it make you feel? You'd probably feel misunderstood, violated, unjustly criticized, unfairly accused. How would it affect the amount of trust in your relationship with that person? Would you feel safe? Would you feel affirmed? Would you feel you could confide in that person and your confidence would be treated with respect? On the other hand, if someone says something like this to you about someone else, how would you feel? You might initially be pleased that that person had confided in you, but wouldn't you begin to wonder if that same person in a different circumstance might say something equally negative about you to someone else? Next to apologizing, the toughest and one of the most important deposits an individual can make or an entire family can adopt as a fundamental value and commitment is to be loyal to family members when they are not present. In other words, talk about others as if they were present. That doesn't mean you are unaware of their weaknesses and are Pollyannish and take the ostrich head in the sand approach. It means rather that you usually focus on the positive rather than the negative. And if you do talk about those weaknesses, you do it in such a responsible and constructive way that you would not be ashamed to have those people you're talking about overhear your conversation. A friend of ours had an 18-year-old son whose habits irritated his married brother and sisters and their spouses. When he wasn't there, which was often, since he spent most hours away from home with friends, the family would talk about him. Their favorite conversations centered on his girlfriends, his habit of sleeping late, and his demands on his mother to serve him at his beck and call. This man participated in these rather gossipy conversations about his son, and the discussions caused him to believe that his son was truly irresponsible. At one point, this friend became aware of what was happening and the part he was playing in it. He decided to follow the principle of being loyal to those not present by being loyal to his son. Thereafter, when such conversations began to develop, he would gently interrupt any negative comments and say something good that he had observed his son doing. He had a good story to counteract any derogatory comments that others might make. Soon the conversation would lose its spice and shift to other, more interesting subjects. Our friend said he soon felt that the others in the family began to connect with this principle of family loyalty. They began to realize that he would also defend them if they were not present. And in some almost unexplainable manner, perhaps because he began to see his son differently, this change also improved his emotional bank account with this son, who hadn't even been aware of the family conversations about him. Bottom line, the way you treat any relationship in the family will eventually affect every relationship in the family. I remember one time when I was running out of the house to go somewhere in a hurry. I knew that if I stopped to say goodbye to my 3-year-old son, Joshua, I would get caught up in his needs and questions. It would take time, and I was into efficiency. So I had told my other children, see you kids, I've got to run. Don't tell Joshua I'm gone. I got halfway out to the car before I realized what I had just done. I turned around, went back into the house, and said to the other children, that was wrong of me to run out on Joshua like that. And not to say goodbye to him as well. I'm going to find him and say goodbye. Sure enough, I had to spend some time with him. I had to talk with him about what he wanted to talk about before I could go. But it built the emotional bank account with Joshua and with the other children as well. I sometimes think, what would have happened if I hadn't gone back? What if I had gone to Joshua that night and tried to have a good relationship with him? Would he have been loving and open with me if he knew I had run out on him when he wanted and needed me? how would this have affected my relationship with the other sons and daughters? Would they have thought that I would run out on them too if interacting with them sidetracked my agenda? The message sent to one is truly sent to all because everyone is a one. And they know that if you treat one that way, all it takes is a change of circumstances and you will treat them that way too. That's why it is so important to be loyal to those not present. Notice here too how all four gifts are in proactive use. To be loyal, you have to be self-aware. You have to have a sense of conscience, a moral sense of right and wrong. You have to have a sense of what's possible, what's better, and you have to have the intestinal fortitude to make it happen. Being loyal to those not present is clearly a proactive choice. See, I told y'all that was dope. I told you it was dope. And I'm gonna get right into the recap of being loyal to those not present. And first I wanna say, we all have those family members who, smile in your face, but they wouldn't even spit on your back if you was on fire. That's crazy. We all got them family members like that. And they're only there to see the flames. They just want to see you on fire while they quench their thirst with a fresh old bottle of water. It's sad to say. God knows it's sad to say. But yeah, it's family that's out there. It's like that. And the positive advice that they should be giving you, they relay it to someone else, in a negative way in order to just talk about you. Like an example I was just using about being set afire. They'll go and be like, girl, I seen him on fire. He should have stopped, dropped, and rolled. That's what I would have did. Instead of giving you that advice when you going through the fire, when you going through the flames, they're out there talking about you, spreading, you feel me? Spreading your news everywhere instead of just giving you that advice. Ah, man, that's tough. I hate that. I hate that for anybody. But, you as a person, as an individual, you have to stay loyal. You have to stay true to everyone that you deal with, whether it's a family member or not. Don't sit on the fence allowing people to make these justifiable assumptions about where you stand when it comes to them. If you don't like someone, it's okay to not like them, and it's okay for them to know you don't like them. But you don't have to be disrespectful or rude about it, but definitely don't be fake. I would not advise anyone to be fake, and lie and waver on your morals, your character, your standard and what you believe in, But on the other side of that, when you do love someone, stand in their corner strong. You feel me? Like, be loyal, be honest with them, and don't be, please, don't be the family member that's going around, claiming you keeping it hot, being real, when really you just being messy. You just out here spreading people's business, talking about folks, and bringing negative attention. And it's not cool, it's not cute, and it's disrespectful. It's rude, and if someone comes to you delivering that type of news, that negative news, reciprocate, with some positive news about that same person. And usually that'll alter the conversation instead of, you indulging, into the situation. And by doing it, it doesn't mean that you don't notice someone else's flaws or their weaknesses, but you're just not, you don't need to be pondering and putting a lot of energy into someone else's problems when your own problems ain't stable. How can you support someone else's foundation when you got cracks and creaks and holes in your own foundation? I don't understand. Fix your foundation.